Oh, people are joining. Hi, welcome to Video Overnight. That's exciting. You can see people joining. Hello, everyone. Good morning. We hope that you have had a cup of coffee if you're a coffee drinker, and we're excited that all of you future Lutes are joining us. So, oh my goodness, how exciting. We're up to 42 attendees, Allan.
Excellent.
I know, that's exciting. So this is Video Overnight. You are hopefully in the right place, which is joining myself. I'm the Associate Dean of Admission, Melody Ferguson, and I'm with PLU's President, Allan Belton. We know people are still joining and getting comfortable and figuring out how to log in, so we're not gonna get fully started yet. But we're going to kind of go over what is Video Overnight, what you can expect from today and tomorrow, and even the future, and kind of why we're so excited that all of you are jumping in. So it's kind of fun to watch the attendees number just keep rising. So that's great. So you did get the message. We're so excited. So today you get to hang out with President Belton and I this morning. Think of this a little bit like the keynote speech or the welcome address if you were to come to campus for an event. We'll just kind of talk about some of the things we love about PLU, answer a few of your questions, but really kind of the meat and the exciting part of the day is going to be meeting more PLU people today and tomorrow. So at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we have first year students. So they were in a lot of your shoes just a year ago. So what is that transition like from high school to college? We'll answer some of those questions. And then tomorrow morning at this same time, you can join us at 10 and meet some seasoned Lutes, people who have interned at Microsoft or studied abroad or done research. And they're going to talk to you about faculty mentors that helped them get those experiences. And then at 2 o'clock tomorrow, you'll get to talk to some of our faculty because high school and college are a little bit different. And those faculty are what really create an amazing experience for you at PLU. And what we're hoping is that over these kind of 4 sessions, you'll just get to connect with some PLU people. We hear that some of you can hear us, but can't see us. So we are working on that on the technical side, so just hold on and we'll hopefully get that figured out. It might be that our video is not working or your video is not working, but this is the first session, so we'll figure it out. I am going to stop my video and restart it just in case.
I will do the same.
All right. We're getting some messages that it's working on for some students. So if you can hear me, that's all that matters, because otherwise it's not exciting.
If you cannot see me, you're not missing anything.
I know, although I did add a PLU pennant, you know, broadcasting live from my home in Bonnie Lake, Washington. And it looks like President Belton's actually at PLU. So
I'm in my office.
So we have a little, we're in different places. Awesome, looks like we're good. So we have noticed that a few of our future Lutes have already logged in. So students who have committed to PLU and are here probably to just learn a bit more about the place they're gonna call home next year. So welcome Caitlin Collins and Sam Foster, Atlantis, Victoria, Anna. There's so many of you, this is so exciting. So Pip is in here. So we have lots of people that have joined, which is great. So we're at 71 attendees. So you guys keep coming in, which is awesome. I do want to let you know that everything about Video Overnight is on our website, plu.edu/videoovernight, and our amazing social media team. If any of you are lucky enough to have the admission counselors, Rachel and Jinky, they've been running that the last 3 weeks and really providing some great digital content. So follow at PLU_admission on Instagram to find out more. We have a ton of sessions coming up next week and the week after about residential life, financial aid, the School of Arts and Communication, and so many other things. So we want to make sure you not only engage with us today and tomorrow, but also throughout the next few weeks as we try to answer all of those questions. You guys have been great about adding things to those social media posts about asking for questions. I think we got more than we can probably answer today, Allan, but we're going to try.
Okay.
And you can also ask more questions below. So down below, there's a little Q&A box, and Hillary Powell and Cassandra Capriva, also admission counselors, are monitoring that, and they're sending us questions. We have a little chat screen, so if I'm glancing over to the side of my computer, it's because I'm trying to keep track of all of those people that are coming in, but also all of the questions that you were asking. So those are all there, and we will try to get through a lot of them. So it looks like things are working and most people are in. So we'll go ahead and get started. So Allan, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about why you chose PLU? A lot of
Sure.
you students are thinking about that right now.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Allan Belton. I'm the president at PLU. I prefer to be called Allan. So students, when you're here and you're walking around campus, if you call out President Belton, I might respond, but if you call out Allan, I will definitely respond. I have been at PLU for 5 years this month. So let me tell you a tiny bit about how I came to PLU and kind of why I ended up at PLU. I came here after a very long career in corporate finance and banking. And during my last few years on that job, I got to a point where I really wanted to make a career change to something that was much more meaningful. And so just a little bit of background. I grew up in Central Washington, and I am a first in family college graduate. And when I was making my college decision, I had no idea that PLU even existed. But when I went to, I graduated from university and moved to Seattle in my first banking job, I met and married the love of my life, Melinda, who is a Lute. So when it came time to search for this new career, this new opportunity, I ended up being a finalist for 3 positions, and one of those was PLU, and the position was the Chief Financial Officer. So having Melinda as an alum was really helpful. We decided to surreptitiously visit campus before anybody here had met me, just to get a feel for what the campus was like and for Melinda to show me around. And what I discovered in that visit was it was an incredibly welcoming place. So as we walked across campus, people had no idea who I was, but they opened doors, they stopped us and asked if we needed help finding anything. And I was just a little shocked, frankly, having my own 4-year university experience being so different, but how welcoming the place was. And then when I returned as a finalist to be introduced to everyone, what I discovered is that I was treated equally welcome. And in fact, the chair of the hiring committee was an economics professor who remembered Melinda during her time at PLU, who took his class and even remembered that she went by her nickname, Mindy, back then. So I was really impressed. I think that ultimately was why I chose PLU over other job opportunities, because regardless of whether I was a complete stranger or somebody who was applying for a top position at the university, I was treated with the same respect and welcome. And honestly, I just fell in love with the place as a result.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Just to give you a little background on myself, I've been at PLU about 8 years, and I have worked at 3 universities. I went to Federal Way High School. If there's any Eagles in here, go Eagles. And I was a first-generation college student. So my path to college was a little unclear, and I know Allan will talk about his experience a little bit later, but when I was looking for my own professional growth, it was really important to me that I was going to work at a school who worked with students like myself. I have a real I want to work at a school that has access in its mission, that feels really approachable and comfortable, but also really prepares people for their future academically. So as I kind of looked around at various college options, I knew that if a job opened up at PLU, I was going to try to go for it because it fit all of those things while allowing me to grow professionally. And I think it's really nice to work at a place that supports you as a student, a staff person, and a faculty member, which isn't the case kind of in every college environment. So for me, it had a lot to do with PLU's community as well, which is kind of nice. So that's awesome.
I feel bad I didn't shout out to my high school, which was Zilla High School Leopards. Go Leopards.
Go Leopards, yeah.
If there are any Zilla High School students on this call, I will be shocked, but please chat.
Yes, put it down below in the question. Allan wants to know. You can also let me know if you're an Eagle down there, because that's maybe more likely. So I think you mentioned this, right? You want students to call you Allan, but how, as a university president, do you actually interact or connect with students?
Well, that is one of the amazing things about this place. And there are a number of ways, obviously, but I'll give you three. So one, PLU is really small in terms of kind of this, the campus is this beautiful park-like campus, but it's small enough and there are, 3,000 plus students. It's easy to just walk around and interact with students. So I spend a lot of time at the coffee cart here in the admin building, the Loot Cafe.
Popular place.
Very popular place. They know what I order. It's just, I'm very boring, same thing every time. And so I have a chance to chat with students in line. I tend to eat lunch at the Commons, which is our main dining hall. And the more time you can spend walking around campus, obviously you're going to interact with students. The second is kind of really unique to PLU. We include student representatives on every single standing committee on this campus. And so students, whether you're in a leadership position or just can be assigned by ASPLU or nominated by others, you can participate in committees. And so we have the opportunity for students to sit in with faculty, with board members, with members of the President's Council on a regular basis. And we invite students and student groups to speak to the board and to board meetings. But I think the third and my favorite, quite frankly, is I really appreciate invitations from student groups and student affiliations to come and speak and meet with them. So a number of times throughout the year, I will attend evening events at the residence halls. And so RHA, our Residence Hall Association, sponsors coffees. And I just come in and it's just an open Q&A and you can ask anything, you can comment on anything, and we just have a good chat. I do the same thing with the Student Athletic Council and pretty much anybody who will invite me. I mean, I know I'm the president and kind of boring at times to want to talk to the president, but it's really helpful for me to hear from the students. I also sit in occasionally with the professor's approval. I will sit in on a class just to see what students are experiencing in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And then finally, and I encourage you all to take advantage of this when you're on campus, I have open office hours for students. Mm-hmm. So if you go to the website for PLU and go to the president's site, they're posted there. And I try to keep them really flexible so that if you have classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have Tuesday, Thursdays available, et cetera. And we we kind of move them around to meet student schedules. But I typically will have 2 to 3 students every week come in and just chat with me. And it can be things you want to complain about. That's most common. Things you want to, ideas you want to present. I had a student in here a couple of weeks ago who wants to open his own cafe on campus. And so that's a really good opportunity for me to hear from students and see what's really on your minds.
Yeah, that's great. So just walk in if you are available at that time. That's great. I think that's also something I've noticed that's different, just working on different college campuses, is how approachable you are for staff and students. And I think that fits kind of the PLU vibe too. So I think we really appreciate that. We had somebody ask what a typical day looks like for a president. Is there a typical day? What would be interesting to share with students?
Oh boy. Well, most people probably have no idea. I really didn't, I'll be honest, because when I came here, I didn't plan on being president. So that kind of happened, and that's a whole separate story. But no, there's not a normal day at PLU, and particularly in the job of president. So I'll just give you one example from last fall. I've actually compared being the president to being the mayor of a sizable city, because we have parks and we have hotels, if you will, for residence halls. We have restaurants. We have a library. There's just athletics, all these different things going on. So one day last fall in the morning, I had an opportunity to welcome Senator Patty Murray, who's one of the 2 senators here in the state of Washington, to campus. And we toured our nursing facility because she was supporting a grant application. And then later that morning, I met with the dean of the School of Social Sciences and the provost, and we talked about the possibility of adding a major in criminal justice, which we did, by the way. And some of the students on this call are probably going to be in the first cohort of criminal justice majors, which is cool. I also signed a stack about that thick of admission letters, which I hand sign. If you got one from me, if you've been admitted, you will see the blue signature. That is real. That's not a computer. And then I finished the day by having a concerned staff member come into my office because we had installed new locks on the women's restrooms in the Hauke admin building, and they had been installed backwards. So they could only be locked from outside the stall. So I had to go into the women's room, take a picture with permission, and get it to facilities so that it could fix the locks. So that's kind of an average day, I would say. It's not a normal day.
Yeah. So like no normal day.
There's no normal.
Yeah. All up and down. I like that description of it kind of being like a mini city, because I do think that's a better description. It's different than being principal of a high school, right? So yeah, there's a difference there.
Yeah.
So we just got a question, and this is a fun one. What is your favorite fun fact about PLU, or maybe something people don't know?
Oh, wow.
I know.
You know, there are lots of cool fun facts. I'm gonna actually give you two, because one you may have read and it may not be a surprise. I love that PLU was the first American university to have students studying on all 7 continents at the same time.
Too. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I love that. But you can read that in our brochure. One fact that I love, it's about an alum that I think people just, you know, you don't think of PLU necessarily when you think of the amazing things that people do when they leave this place, because that's part of the zeitgeist of PLU is people want to serve, but they don't do it for the attention, right? They don't do it for the recognition. So a PLU alum, Dr. William Faggy, who was actually on campus recently, he got his degree here, and he went on to the UW for master's and Harvard for his PhD. He still claims that his best professors were at PLU. He single-handedly is responsible for eradicating smallpox. So when we talk about what's going on in the reason we're doing a video overnight right now, a pandemic, it was a PLU alum who cured one of the biggest pandemics that this country's ever seen. I think that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. Yeah, one of my favorite fun facts is about study abroad too. It's my one regret for my own college experience is that I didn't take that opportunity. It's kind of a once in a lifetime. There's certain things you can only do in college, right? Like you don't get that opportunity once you kind of go to the real world or get your career. So study abroad is, I think, definitely one of those like real solid collegiate experiences, and a fun thing to, you know, I encourage everyone to at least consider it. And the Wong Center for Global Education is who runs our study abroad programs, and they are going to be doing a session next Thursday, actually. So if you have more interest, tune into that session.
I have the same regret, by the way.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
And I think some of that comes, I think, with being first generation a little bit. I just didn't know how to navigate that system as much. And I really appreciate that PLU, it's almost like an expectation that you will study abroad. I mean, not everyone does, but about 50% do. So it makes it more accessible in some way, I think.
Awesome.
And you can study abroad as early as your first year. That's so cool. So lots of opportunity for that. So we're getting some kind of nitty gritty admission questions. So I'm going to quickly try to hit a couple of those because I know they're kind of weighing on people's minds while we maybe go back to things like fun facts and traditions about PLU. Yes, we have extended the confirmation deadline. So you have till June 1st, not May 1st, to tell us whether or not PLU is your future home. We are asking, though, that you communicate that you want that kind of extension. It's not really an extension, but that you are still in that process with your admission counselor. It just helps us know where you're at. And we are a place where hopefully you all know who that person is, but if not, on that Video Overnight page, you can find a Meet Your Counselor link. So just let them know that you would like to visit first, or you need more information, or you'd like to connect with somebody specific at PLU and you've just had a hard time finding that connection. When is new student registration? So you will be receiving something called a new loot guide in the mail coming kind of late April. New student registration is going to be virtual this year. It'll be in June. So all of you that are worried about getting those first semester classes, when will you sign up? When will you know? Be a high school student right now, take a breath, because we're gonna get that to you in a little bit. So as long as you've paid your deposit and done your housing form if you're living on campus, and your roommate questionnaire, and maybe your FAFSA if you're planning to file it, you've pretty much done everything you need to do right now. Otherwise, the rest of it can wait. We'll get back to you in kind of late April with some next steps, but it'll happen in June. And our amazing staff and the Center for Student Success is setting up a wonderful opportunity, virtual opportunity for you to register for those classes based on your major and what credits you're bringing in. So don't worry. We did also extend the visit scholarship. So you have till June 1st to visit. And we're kind of watching how things go. Obviously, the future is we're still figuring things out a little bit, but you can always pay attention to our plu.edu/visit website, and we're updating that constantly. So yes, we have extended that as well. And yeah, those were some of the, just wanted to get through some of those. Sounds like a couple of you asked those. So we just wanted to kind of let everyone know, because if a couple of you have that question, probably a lot of you have that question. And down below, remember there's questions and answers at the end of this. If you don't have kind of a big question, we're going to do a little rapid fire round. So if you just have a silly question, like you want to know Allan's what Netflix show he's binging right now, or favorite snack, because I feel like we maybe are all snacking more than we used to, or maybe what his coffee order is, put it down there and we can maybe get to those at the end. So we want to have a little fun before we kind of end this session. So if you have some of those, put them down there. Allan, what's a tradition at PLU that you think people could look forward to?
Well, one of them is behind me, and I kind of stole it from the admissions office. If any of you students had an opportunity to visit and you were in the Welcome Center, you saw this little bell. I don't know if you can see it back here. It's a really cool tradition because we actually have a really big bell that's part of our tradition that's out in the square, and that we then bring to the Tacoma Dome later on. So what I love is at convocation, which is your welcome to university life on the first day of classes, you get to ring the bell. So we ring the bell out in the square. And then when you graduate, we ring the bell for you as well. And so it's kind of a beginning and end of your time at PLU, which I really love. And I do have the gong. I'll try not to do it so loud, so you might want to prepare your ears, but it's really, that's very cool.
And then we usually all cheer.
Yeah. We also do that when you make deposits, I understand. So if anybody deposits, please chat and I'll ring it for you, okay?
Yes, we'll celebrate you here. Yeah, it's it's actually the thing I'm saddest about right now, not being on campus. It's been a really fun tradition that the admission office kind of stole, this university tradition. And so when a student comes to campus in the spring, whether it's for a big visit or just an individual visit, we even have students now that just stop by because they want to ring the bell. We have them ring the bell and then we celebrate them, and there's a group text among the admission staff and it just says, someone's ringing the bell. And we all go running to the Welcome Center with our pom-poms, and people come in from the hallway from other offices, and then we share that on social media. So I do want everyone to know that we are right now trying to figure out a virtual way for all of you to ring the bell, because we'd still like to have that tradition. So know that maybe something is coming if we can figure that out. But if you do kind of pay your deposit today or tomorrow or we can definitely do some ringing of the bell for you. There is a nitty-gritty question that came through, Allan.
Sure.
Do we have a plan if PLU is still on lockdown in the fall?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, obviously, and we're working on that, and we're looking at a number of alternatives. So it will depend. I think that's the obvious answer. It's going to depend on what the lockdown looks like. So is it really still in the state of Washington, we have a stay home, stay healthy order right now, but we also still have 400 students who are still living on campus. And so we have arranged it so that we can have all of the distancing necessary on our campus for the students who wanted to stay. And I think we're unique in that. That's pretty much about the caring kind of community this is. So there will be alternatives. We're working right now for alternatives that might involve breaking the semester into a couple of pods or sections so that you don't have as many classes to worry about up front, but that would be kind of an extreme measure. We're also looking at the possibility of delaying the start if we needed to and kind of extending the school year. And we're looking at opportunities for ways that we could have appropriate distancing in the classrooms. And so the good news for us is we only have 2 classes that have more than 50 students, which is really amazing. Most of our classes have 20 or fewer students, and so it's easier for us to do that. So stay tuned, and we'll try to keep you updated as students. And we're sharing, if you don't know, go to PLU/coronavirus. We've got all of our communications are there, all of our updates, and as soon as we've decided what's going to happen in the fall, we'll put that out there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I know. And even I think the person wrote, we don't know, but just making sure we had a plan. That's great.
Yeah, trust me. I have my oldest is graduating in May and unfortunately will not have a graduation ceremony. And then my middle son is actually a freshman at a different university, because why would you want to go where your dad's the president? right? And so, you know, he has the same questions. We as a family have the same questions. We're uncertain. And then we have our youngest who was supposed to take the SAT and that got canceled. And so we're dealing with all of these same kind of, everything's up in the air at the moment.
Yeah. That's great. So I'm just reading all of this, which is awesome.
Sure.
Actually, kind of playing off of that, talk a little bit about your own kind of college search process and maybe even some of the process you've gone through with your children and
Yeah,
how that might relate to where all of these students are.
sure. So, you know, like you just heard, I have, Melinda and I have 3 children, not exactly children anymore, obviously, the youngest being 17. So we've gone through this cycle now twice and we're in it for the 3rd time. And I will tell you, for each one of them, it's different. You know, I have some advice that I would give, and you can take it for what it's worth. You hear a lot about finding the right fit. And in fact, we heard that consistently when we were visiting colleges. And so our oldest only wanted to go to film school. And so we were looking at mostly Southern California and a little bit New York. The middle guy wanted to be an engineer. And so he really looked for schools with strong engineering programs. And in many cases, we were looking at big schools, small schools, medium schools, ones that had more study. I mean, all of the things you guys are considering. And I'll be honest, it's only since I've been at PLU that I've really understood it's not, I don't, Melody, you may not agree, but I don't know that it's about fit. It's about finding a place that allows you to be you.
Yeah.
And that's very different than fit.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk on a campus, you want to know that you can, if you choose to, you can leave high school behind and you can be the person you really want to be. And you're going to be welcomed. And that's really what you want to ask yourself. Is this a place where I can really be who I am? So that's my big piece of advice. The other thing that I've heard, and my son did this and it worked for him, is when you make a decision or you think you've made a decision, go into a quiet room and say it out loud. I'm really excited to go to PLU in the fall. Say it and you don't feel it, you're going to know maybe you didn't, PLU isn't the place. But if you feel it, then yeah, it's the place. And so it's challenging. Ask as many questions as you can. Visit the campus if at all possible. I know that's really hard right now with the coronavirus. That's why we're doing this. And I hope you get somewhat of a feel for PLU. Yeah. But definitely visit and see if it's a place where you can be yourself.
Yeah, I think sense of belonging is more important than people think. And I know that's sometimes hard to feel if you haven't visited campus, but that was why it was so important for us in admission as we were thinking about what to do over these 2 days. We could have done a whole day of things. We could have done all these workshops. But we just wanted you to meet PLU people, because if they like resonate with you, if you feel kind of a vibe with them, even over the internet, I feel like that means there's some sense of belonging in this place. And so that's why we gave you, these panels where you're getting to meet members of our PLU family that you would be joining next year. And I think that's really important, and sometimes not something people talk about a lot, because
it makes a big difference. When we left our oldest at her school, and I won't mention the school by name, we really didn't feel comfortable that they were going to be cared for.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's tough. Now, in that case, it was the program that made the decision for them. But, whereas our middle guy, who were really concerned about going to a big school, he found a place where he felt like he had all the opportunities to do things he wanted to do, and he's doing them. So I agree with Melody. Look for the people too.
That's great. So there's a couple other just kind of nitty gritty questions that keep coming in. So yes, tons of questions about residential life. When will I find out my roommate? When will I find out my residence hall? All of that stuff. And we knew that. We saw that in the questions early. So next Thursday, there is a residential life session that will be just dedicated to answering all of your living and learning community questions, and all of that information about how they do roommate matching, what does that look like, and how do they let you know. So tune in next Thursday for that one, because I think we want to just save some of those questions so that the experts, the people who run that program, can answer those questions. So they are coming and they will communicate with you, usually through your PLU email address. So if you have decided to be a PLU student, start checking that email, but know that is happening. We see a lot of questions about those things. So I think those are some of the big ones. Someone asked, what are the 2 classes with more than 50 students, Allan? Do you know that off the top of your head?
What's that?
What are the two classes with
Oh,
more than 50 students?
yeah. So one of the big ones is a biology class because all nursing students are required to take it, and that one actually has a little over 100. And then the other is a psychology, a beginning psychology class that had 67 students.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Most are
I was
pretty.
surprised I knew that.
I know. I was like, I don't know if he's going to know at the top of his head, but I'll give it a try. I was assuming those would be the ones. And what's great is in the faculty panel, we have Corey Cook, who's a professor in psychology. So he can kind of talk about what being in one of those large classes is like. And then Neil Yaklis, who's a professor in chemistry, but does teach also a lot of natural science classes, lab classes, and works with a lot of our like pre-med, pre-dentistry types of students. So you can ask them about what it's like to teach and be a student in some of those classes. So that's great. So lots of fun stuff going on. It looks like there's a couple questions on information about payment plans and tuition and all of that. I just want to make sure everyone knows they can do a one-on-one Zoom meeting with any of their admission counselors to talk about financial aid and what that process looks like. But again, all of that kind of happens more in the summer. And during new student registration, you'll get to have a session with a Center for Student Success counselor that's going to be your academic advisor, and also with a student financial services counselor. So they'll be going through all the kind of nuts and bolts of making sure you have kind of everything in line before fall starts. So so I think those are such good questions, and all of you are way ahead of the game in terms of asking these questions, but know we'll be with you every step of the way. Hopefully you felt that PLU has over communicated, and we will continue to do that. I know we hear that sometimes. All right, so we're winding down our session. So a little quick fire, Allan, you and I can answer some of these questions. What are you currently binge watching, or what's kind of a new show you found during this time?
Well, I feel like I've almost watched everything on Netflix and on Prime.
Right.
And it might come as a surprise, but the show that I really got into, not recommended by my kids, and they're amazed that I found it, I'm loving it, is Euphoria.
Oh.
Oh, it's great. It's
Okay.
gritty. It's you know, it's rated R, obviously, but it's really, really good.
Yeah. I talked to a lot of students last week because some of you are students in my territory, which is awesome. And like 7 of you recommended Tiger King. I was going to start this with, hey, all you cats and kittens, but I thought I wouldn't do that. So I did start because of all of you watching that show. Thank you for that. But also we got Disney Plus. So we have been working through all the Marvel movies. I have a 10 and 13-year-old at home. And so that's been kind of fun to kind of start at the beginning and work our way through. So we've been doing a lot of that. What is your coffee order, Allan?
Oh, tall Americano, no room.
Tall Americano, no room.
Yeah.
I also do Americano, but with an inch of steamed almond milk. It's a little like, I know, but I just want a little bit.
That right there is the microcosm of the difference between Melody and I. I'm really boring, and she's not.
Do you add anything to it?
Nope, never.
Nothing at all.
No.
All right, so I think that is a lot of your questions and kind of where we're at. We hope this was just kind of fun to set the stage of what this is going to be like. We promise you the meatier versions are at 2, tomorrow at 10, and tomorrow at 2. So at 2 o'clock today, we encourage you to go get some lunch, work on some of your homework if you have some, if you're on spring break, take a nap, and then join us at 2 o'clock where some of our current first-year students will talk to you about what these last kind of 6-7 months have been like. Like, it really hasn't been that long since they graduated from high school. And so we got some great questions for them. They're excited to answer all of them. And we hope you'll tune into that session as well. Remember to go to plu.edu/VideoOverKnight to get more information or to sign up for those sessions and to see about that residential life session and also that study abroad session next week, when those are, so you can get them on your calendar. So we hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for coming. Any last words, Allan?
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. I know time with the president is probably not the most exciting thing you're going to do in the next couple of days. Really encourage you to tune in with the other students and with the faculty. Those will be much more exciting. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you're all healthy and happy. And thanks to Pip for the shout out here in the chat. We'll make note of that, Pip. So thank you. Thanks,
So
everyone.
go Lutes, and we'll see you at 2. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.